Yo, Parish Orphans and Retrogrades here on a Friday afternoon show. I bring you an episode of Rules for Retrogrades that isn't our typical topic. We're not talking about the church. We're not talking about feminism. We're not talking about patriarchy. We're not talking about the Latin Mass or Pope Francis. Today, I want to discuss the prospect of Joseph Biden, the president of the United States, staying in the 2024 presidential race. We had, over the last 36 hours, reports widespread that Biden would be dropping out at any time. So that was yesterday throughout the RNC convention, at which Tucker Carlson spoke. I know Tucker a little bit. Very good dude. Love Tucker like everyone else who's got a brain in America. Trump spoke for a very long time. It was good to see him doing well. And during this, and there's some other people, Dana White introduced Trump. You had some other big-time speakers. And whatever, it's a Republican National Convention. It's, they do RNC things. But it was atypical insofar as Trump had been nearly assassinated, come within a quarter inch of his life 5 days before, and he's pretty chill. He's a pretty chill guy. And you find him a little less funny than he used to be. He used to be hilarious. But I was glad to see he was doing well. All throughout the RNC day, Thursday, yesterday, beginning, I think, a little before, had been a circulated rumor that Joe Biden was ready to drop out at any moment. He's cooked, they were saying. He'll supposedly drop out by Sunday. I'm not ruling that out. And when I make predictions about Pope Francis, they come to pass. I've never claimed the same about Biden or presidential races, but I think I have a good feel on what's going on. Last night, over the night when we all slept, as we were being told within 72 hours, Joe Biden's going to drop out of the race, something else happened. What was it? Well, it was this. There was a CrowdStrike outage. CrowdStrike is software. And it's, some are saying, an example of a deniable infrastructure attack. Some are saying, well, it has something to do with Biden staying in the race. This is Michael Guamarin. He said it relied on a human being pushing a misconfigured patch update to all CrowdStrike's customers. Was this deliberate? A Drudge Report article said it could take weeks to actually figure out and know what's going on. There seem to be workarounds, in effect, that are helping planes, which had been grounded largely around the world. Planes had been grounded because of this CrowdStrike outage that happened while we slept. Some are getting off the ground, but no one really knows what's going on. People are saying to prepare for a mass psychosis event, to prep, the next few months. Think 4 years ago. Wall Street Silver on Twitter, Twitter, said, good news, Joe Biden is staying in the race. The reports of him withdrawing this weekend are false. Hunter and Jill are doing the right thing in their advising of Joe to keep him in the race. Here's what they said on MSNBC this morning.
Joining us now, chair of the Biden-Harris campaign, Jen O'Malley Dillon. Jen.
Oh, hilarious name. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Joining us now, chair of the Biden-Harris campaign, Jen O'Malley Dillon. Jen, thank you for being on. So, what is the plan? Is Joe Biden still in the race? Does he plan to stay in the race? And if so, what's the plan?
Thanks so much for having me, Mika. And look, absolutely the president's in this race. You've heard him say that time and time again. And I think we saw on display last night exactly why, because Donald Trump is not going to offer anything new to the American people. He's the same person he was in 2020. He's the same person he was at the debate stage. He's the same person he is that is about himself and not about the American people. And Joe Biden is more committed than ever to beat Donald Trump. And we believe on this campaign, we are built for the close election that we are in, and we see the path forward. The president is the leader of our campaign and of the country, and he is clearly, in our impression and what we've built and in our engagement with voters, he's the best person to take on Donald Trump and prosecute that case and present his vision versus what we saw last night.
Okay, so no one believes any of that. Democrat, Republican, somewhere in between, or just flat out don't care. Any of those four categories, no one believes it. What's going on with the shell game regarding a simple, eventually fully public front-facing decision? Democrats pulling Joe Biden out of the race or not? What's going on with that? What are they straw polling? I don't know. Those who are speculating about the event last night are saying, well, maybe the Microsoft outage is just a hint of what's to come. I suspect they're introducing it to shift the Overton window and prepare people for a mass psychosis event in the future. This is Your Simo, at Your Simo on Twitter. This is obviously just speculation, but I encourage you to be careful at taking things at face value and take the relevant precautions. After the hysteria 4 or 5 years ago, you know what? It's undeniably evident the media aren't on our side. Remember event 201? Remember that one in 2019, October the 18th it was. Major, so I mean, what do we really have here? Like Saruman says, at the council, the mini council they have in The Hobbit. What really do we have? Major computer outages worldwide because CrowdStrike software messed up in an update, a software update. And planes are grounded all around the world. Not globally, is in the sense of every single plane was grounded, but all throughout the world, intermittently, lots of planes were grounded. Banks weren't working, were closed today. CrowdStrike was hired by the DNC, you might not know this, to handle Hillary's emails investigation. They also agitated the you something war, blaming another major country that borders both Europe and Asia, kind of considered part of Europe and Asia. CrowdStrike was part of that. Trump asking Zelensky about CrowdStrike is why, arguably, someone in the U.S. government investigated Trump, because Trump asked Zelensky. Now they're involved with the biggest IT failure ever on the day after Trump's RNC speech. These could all be coincidences. Coincidences are far less likely than incidences, meaning two things happen and they're causally correlated. I'm dealing with my friend Paul here, who knows a lot about this and is military and all that. Is a law school friend of mine. I'm sure it won't come up again before the election, and this was just a random event, he said. So that's. I'm just going to talk about Biden a little bit. Biden the Catholic, Biden the president. This is very, very interesting. Joe Biden is so incompetent that he's going to be forced to drop out of the presidential election. That's an interesting reality. And everyone kind of knows it. So there's nothing new. But we all kind of joked about that without actually thinking that the DNC would make him tender his resignation. Yesterday, it became the abiding assumption. And now today they're saying no. So what is it? Is this a cope? And I'm not promising, I'm not promising the way I do with Pope Francis that I'm absolutely certain that there's a connection between Biden will drop out, no he won't, yes he will, no he won't, yes he will, no he won't, the kind of what we're used to from Pope Francis, doublespeak, Eugenio Scalfari, doublespeak. I'm not promising I know which one it'll be, but it's interesting. And I'm not promising that there's a connection between this dithering doublespeak and the CrowdStrike outage from today. But if we're using history as our guide, because past is prologue, then what they did last, 4 years ago, should be prologue. The past is the prologue. And there's something, I've told you for a long time, that Beer Bug Part 2 will not necessarily be a bug. It could be fake cinema-like giant creatures that look like 10-foot bugs. You call them aliens. I think War of the Worlds, that could be Beer Bug too. It could be massive cyber attack. I don't mean just this CrowdStrike thing. This could have been some sort of wargaming. This outage, software outage. It could be some sort of wargaming for it, and we could see a massive cyber attack. I mean, buy all the books you're going to buy now. Go buy our new book that's forthcoming, Leave and Cleave, now, in case like the internet goes down forever. I don't think they're going to do that. But if you ever wanted to become a Locals or Subscribe Star patron or make a donation to the Gordon family that's strictly donative, do it now because the internet, I don't know, is not a diamond. It ain't forever. There are conditions for the possibility of continued internet use. And guess what? It's the world elites that know what those conditions for the possibility are. This CrowdStrike thing could just be the tip of the iceberg. It could be an example, to quote Michael Guimarin, of a deniable infrastructure attack. Or it could be nothing. At any rate, we should soon find out. Look, 4 years ago, I found out soon. I remember in 2020, I guess it's more than 4 years ago, when they began the mass psychosis event then. I'll define that for you in a second. But I remember when they did what they did, 4.5 years ago. People were like, well, I believed that the 2-week shutdown was good. I believed Fauci was good. I believed that the jabbity jab, cloddy shoddy was good until like 2 years later. And how would anyone know? Just how would anyone know ahead of time? I'm like, oh, it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard to tell. I mean, then just not that hard to tell. And I knew before the election even. And a lot of you did too. A lot of you parish orphans and retrogrades out there knew too. So there could be a connection between these two strange recent events, current events of the last 36 hours. The software accident, bank shutdowns, plane shutdowns. They're just using workarounds right now, according to Drudge Report. On the one hand, and on the other hand, the Biden dropout doublespeak. When have they ever been so forthcoming with what they plan to do? Oh, he will drop out. He won't. He will. We're telling you the truth. So I incline towards a causal bridge between those two events. And I incline toward thinking it means more. There's really very few coincidences. There's just incidences. But now it's a bigger prediction to say, stay tuned, folks. Buckle up. Mass psychosis event. Here's what a mass psychosis event is, also known as mass hysteria, mass psychogenic illness, that's an MPI, or mass sociogenic illness, MSI. They're all basically the same shit. It's a social phenomenon where a group of people experience similar symptoms that have psychological causes rather than a physical one. Does that sound like anything of the last 5 years? Now, I know a lot of you guys still believe anytime you think there's a physical cause, there is one, but there's a lead contender for a major MPI or MSI, mass psychosis event, in the last 5 or so years. See if you can think what it would be. Mimicked. Flu bug completely disappeared for a year or two. Anyway, we'll talk about the future one that could be around the corner. Maybe one's never happened. Maybe one will never happen. I don't know. These symptoms can include unusual behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, as well as physical symptoms caused by emotional or mental tension. The group members often share a common belief about what might be causing the symptoms. Could be anything, a bug, I'm just saying. And these irrational beliefs can spread quickly, leading to mass outbreaks of fear and anxiety. Remember the Chinese tapes, the tapes of Chinese subways from late 2019? What is he suggesting?